Hello, my friends. This is Kathleen for Be Again Books, and I'm pleased to be here in my studio this morning. I have been away, obviously, a bit longer than I expected because of some health things, and I won't go into it, but my health I'm just struggling with that at the moment. But today I'm just trying to ease back into my studio. I've had a project on my desk just waiting for when I could stand up. But this is a simple project. When I don't have energy to make, or when I don't know what to make, I make ephemera because it's useful. It uses what I have so much of already. It doesn't ask much of me. So that's what I want to show you. I want to do just some basic book page bases for journal cards. We have so much that we have to make to stuff into pockets and other things, and it's fun just making these little pieces of art, right? I think so. I tend to work in little formulas, so today it's just going to be 3 pieces, 2 rectangular pieces and 1 curved or line, curvy piece. Sometimes I can reverse it and have 2 curving lines and 1 rectangular. There's no real rule. It's just a rhythm kind of that my hands like. So these are going to be journal cards or tuck-ins, and I'm using these book pages because number one, I got this beautiful new ledger in my stash it was a Christmas birthday gift from my son and daughter-in-law, and she always knows what I love. And so this came to me in the mail, and there are blank pages, but there are also lots of pages that are written in this pretty script, and I love that as well. So what I have already done is, and you can see this is not complete, but that's okay. That's mostly the way they come. But I have gone ahead into the middle and removed the binding. So I have cut the strings here, and so that frees the pages for me to use in either a bound page in a journal. This is a little bit fragile for that, and so what I'm going to need to use this for largely is I think the pages separately in something like this. So what I have done is backed these cards with coffee dyed paper, so that because the page is written on in both sides mostly, and so that gives me room for journaling on the back, and it makes a nice journal card, just vintage. Pretty much can go in any vintage journal, or I can just keep the bases ready for when I'm decorating a journal that has more of a theme. So what we're going to do today, I'm going to show you other pages that I like to use in this same way. So I have glued a couple of these ledger pages onto coffee dyed paper, and I just have used my Craft Bond extra strength glue stick. But if you don't have ledger, obviously that's one of the prized things that junk journalers have and like. But I also like using just some of the fragile music pages that I have that, you know, are pretty useless to use otherwise. And I can just glue that down to a page and cut it. And then it makes nice tags or journal cards. So I often like to use music page as a background. I also like these old text pages that have illustrations. This comes from a vintage craft pattern book for crochet. And so that will make some nice journal cards. But if you don't have anything that's that lovely, that's vintage, here's another suggestion that I can make. One of the things that I really like in books that you can get in the thrift store is just the index pages of recycled books. This happens to be out of an atlas, not particularly vintage, but I look for those that are a little bit older and a little more grungy. But the index pages, I think, are perfect for this kind of thing. So what you need is just some regular coffee dyed paper and a vintage or otherwise book page. And you know, you can use regular other kinds of recycled book pages too. So these are just fine. These old text makes great background too. Kind of like, you know, with a masterboard. You can piece things together even and make these, and they look great. So we've all done that. But what you want to do is just take your coffee dyed paper. Now I would put the glue on the vintage paper first and then put it down on the coffee dye. But with this page, this coffee dyed paper is smaller. And so I'm going to go ahead and put the glue on the coffee dye and then arrange it on this and then cut it. So I am just going to take my glue stick and put a generous amount. Make sure you get all the edges and the corners. All right, we'll move that back out of the way. Bring the paper back, and then lay the coffee dyed paper over the top. And I'm going to try to get it on straight. Obviously that's going to be important. And then smooth that down, trying not to get wrinkles, right? Wrinkles are a little bit hard to write over. So let me put this glue back. I'll grab my old library card and use that as a burnisher. So you want to just try to get all the bubbles out. Now you can see with coffee dyed paper, lots of times you've got these edges. And so you've got to try to, you know, make sure you have plenty of glue and get those edges down really well. Okay. And then you can put this under a weight, like a stack of books or something, because it's going to curl as that glue dries. Because the glue is a little bit damp, and so anytime one side of the paper is more damp than the other side, it's going to curl. But there we go. And then you just need to let that dry, and then you can cut it down into whatever size you want, either tags or cards. So I now have 5 sheets that I can cut down into at least 4, 3 tags maybe, or 4 journal cards. So I'm going to go away and do that, and I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so I'm back, and I now have like 20 new book page bases for journal cards that I can use. Some of them, I've left the raggedy edges on, and that doesn't bother me. The writing room is here on the back, and on the front I can go ahead and decorate around these raggedy edges, and I don't mind. These look a little newer than the others, but that's okay. We can decorate around that too. So these I just have now ready bases, and let's take one from each of those groups and go ahead and decorate them and see. I can show you my little formula, and we can kind of see what we're talking about here. Okay, so the other things that we're going to need to decorate, here, let's move these aside so that I can show you what we've got. Okay, we've got stickers, all right? The stickers are going to give me the curvy lines that I need. It's really easy for me to collect the little pieces of ephemera that are squared off, the rectangular, vertical, and horizontal lines. Those are easy for me to collect. So I just have a little pile of ephemera pieces, stamps, tickets, little illustrations. This is a little cigarette card. Just some little Tim Holtz pieces. This is just simple little illustrations from a book, and then just a scrap piece of patterned paper. That also works. I'm not sure why I pulled this. As I say, I had intended to do this video some time ago and just was unable to do it. And so meanwhile, I don't really understand, what I was gonna do with this. But we'll see. We'll see if something occurs to me. But another thing that I really like, you can also do, as I say, you can reverse it and have 2 curvy lines and one more straight line as well. So one of the things that I really like to use are labels. And so I just have a couple of labels that I have purchased as digital kits from, I think I have the Tracy Fox label kit, but I also have some from other designers too. But these, I like these number Denison type labels. But these I know came from the Graphics Fairy, one of their printables. and these are perfect for this this project. The other thing that I have to make the horizontal shapes are just other old book pages. Like, you know, I would cut that out or rip or tear some of these other kinds of book pages, and I'll show you how to use that. And then, of course, besides the horizontal pieces, for the curvy pieces, you can also use die cuts. So I have several examples of die cuts. So those are our choices to decorate, and here are our bases. This one is not quite dry, but we'll decorate it anyway. Okay, actually let's do that one first, because this one is, I have gone ahead and inked around the edges, and that kind of helps it be a little more vintage. But with newer book pages, sometimes you can just do a little bit of texture on it, like in the form of some stenciling. So let's just take this stencil, and we will just, you know, put a little stencil background on there as well. And you know, you want to kind of concentrate on the edges, only because, you know, whatever we decorate is going to cover up the middle. So we'll just put a little bit of a background stencil on here. I hope you can see that. Okay, then I think, so we could, as in our example, we could use one of these labels with, you know, a die cut or a sticker or something else. But let's do something kind of like what I did on this one, and let's put another piece on here. So let's just take our ruler. Let's line that up, and we'll just take a little piece off of there. We'll just glue this on. I like finding old recycled book pages that have darker color. You know, that really foxed color on them. All right, so there's one rectangular piece. Now we need a curvy piece. And kind of like that. It's sort of expanded. And then we need another rectangular piece. Oh, I kind of like that. That's kind of pretty. What else have we got here? Yeah, that's too much the same. Let's see. I like that. Yeah, I think we'll do that. Yep. Okay, and you can either use the glue stick or because this is a little thicker paper, let's just use some Fabri-Tac and get it on there. You know, I've had questions about what glue that I like to use, and you know, I when I'm just creating on my own off camera, I use a bunch of different glue, but when I'm on camera, I really like the Fabri-Tac because it just simply it glues it down. It glues it down quick. It holds it. Yeah, I want to overlap that onto that edge. It holds it and I can move on. So that's really why you always see me using Fabri-Tac. It's not necessarily because I love it more than other types of glue. It's just convenient when I'm filming. Okay. I kind of like that. And so I get the nice book page foundation, but this looks now very vintage because of the other elements that I've added on. Okay? All right, let's do another one. Let's do that's kind of pretty. Yeah, let's do that. So, or, no, we've got this pretty pink. That might be nice too. Actually. Yeah, I think I like that better. So let's go for that. So this little formula that I'm talking about, it's just a way for me to, you know, decorate kind of quickly without thinking about, you know, everyone, which is good when I don't have a lot of energy. Just kind of need things done quickly. It seems to me like I'm either needing to be quick and, you know, get things done, or I'm needing to be kind of slow. Yeah, sometimes it's hard to say anymore. Gosh, I used to be able to count on myself and just push through whatever issues I was having, but I don't know. As I've gotten older, or maybe it's just because of the health stuff that I'm dealing with now, I just sometimes can't. My body will not cooperate. And that's discouraging to me. But you all probably have the same kinds of issues, so I'm not going to complain to you. Let's see if I can find my... There we go. Oh, I like that. I do. I'm glad I used that pink flower. It just really kind of blends with this the other flowers in there. Yeah, I like that. Okay, lid on. better put the lid on this one too. All right, so now let's see what we've got. Those are two kind of flowery. Let's do something that's a little more, vintage, less floral. There it is. It's pink. I like that pink. Oh, this is driving me nuts. I'm sorry for that sound. Let's get this straight up. Let's move this up a little. We'll put it at the top. Okay, now we need curvy. So let's see where this is. Yeah. It's not very big. I think we need a bigger curvy thing. Like maybe that kind of blends in though, doesn't it? Let's try this one. Yeah, I like that. Okay. Oh, look. This says carriage hardware. If we put that behind there, or maybe we need a yeah. I'll cut this out. Hang on a minute. Actually, I think I like that. Okay, I'm going to put this down first. I think those notes are for the size of the ephemera that I have here, just a little busy. So, frankly, so is this crossword. It's also kind of busy, but I think it breaks that up just enough. And let me make sure. I think this might be a sticker. Yeah, it is. So let me get that ready. And this is the sticker. Okay, so this goes down first. Oh my gosh, that's a sticker too. How do I not know this? Nice. I like that, but I guess we'll just put that down first. And then I think we're going to go this. And then maybe off the edge. No, let's keep it on. Okay. That's not my favorite. I don't know, what if we put on something else? I don't know what I was going to do with that. Stamp. I think we need something kind of long. You know, like a piece that's like this. Let me look. Maybe a piece of washi tape. Hang on. Yeah, let's hope this will save me here. Tear it down. Okay, this is an experiment. I don't know, and I'm probably just overthinking it. You know, sometimes it just doesn't matter that much. Yeah. Yeah, I like that. So, you know, for me, the formula works most of the time. You know, just 3 pieces, but it didn't in this case. And I'm not sure why, except that maybe the colors are too much the same or a little bit retiring. You know, nothing is standing out enough. But I like that. I like that better anyway. So we'll go with that. Okay, one more. What shall we do here? Let's just do another vintage-ish one. Let's just do something like this. We could do 2 curved ones. Yeah, that works. I kind of like that. Yeah, all right. Let's do that. There we go. Do I want it straight up and down? I guess. All right. And is this one a sticker? Yeah, it is. You know, I could just go on all day making these, and they'll just, you know, end up in my stash. you know, I'm really not trying to finish anything today. But just, you know, getting a little work done. And this is good when my energy is low, when my hands hurt. Make sure that's straight. Okay. That's stuck. Okay, you know, it's like not necessarily great art, but, you know, it's certainly adequate for a journal card. And, you know, you could even put another little label. Not that curvy one, but yeah, maybe this little one. Yep, that's good. So the whole point between the horizontal, the straight lines, and the curvy lines is just to offset a little bit so that you don't have all of one or the other. Right? Okay, there we go. There's a bunch of journal cards made and a whole stack of book page bases that I can, you know, decorate later as well. Thanks for being with me. I'm sure that these will show up later in a journal, but this is how I have tried to come back to you all, to something small, useful, and familiar. Hopefully I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.